So can a hair transplant clinic that used to be good, had a really good reputation, suddenly become very bad? And I'm not talking over months or years, I'm talking over just a few short weeks. I discovered the answer is absolutely yes. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how this happens and what you can do to protect yourself. Keep watching. Watching My Hair Implants, the best YouTube channel on all things hair transplant. My name is Jabril. What do you mean you still haven't subscribed? So the information in this video is not something that I made up. This is based on what people are telling me. I consult with people, people who are looking for hair transplants, and also what some clinics who I talk to tell me as well. So the first way a clinic that used to be good becomes bad is in the way they work. Let's have a look. One of the ways a clinic can lose its standards and become worse is when they do more delegation without proper supervision and without proper methods. So more delegation means instead of the surgeon doing most of the work, now most of the work is done by the technicians or the nurses. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's quite a risky, system, and it needs to be thought out and executed properly. So a clinic might have been doing surgeon-led and now it's technician-led. They do more clients per day. So before they might have been doing only 1 or 2 because it's only the surgeon doing the work. It might have been 1 or 2 per day, but now they do 4 or 5, sometimes even more. And at the really extreme end, there are some clinics that do even more than 4 or 5 per day. It becomes like a production line. So your job is to be very clear what their current model is. Don't care about what they were doing last year or the year before or 2 months ago. You want to ask very clearly, what is your current model? Who does the work? Who does most of the work? And how many clients per day do you do? That will give you an idea what their current model is. Of course, the advantage of this system where there's more technician, the technicians doing most of the work, is that it's cheaper. And some clients will be happy with this. They want to keep their costs down, but then other people will be happy to pay the extra money to have the surgeon do most of the work. And to be honest, I am in line with those people personally. With delegation, the transition period is the most risky one, the period where they've just changed their working model. So some clinics have been using this model for years and are just experts at it. No problems with these clinics. It's the ones that are just about transitioning from the old model of the surgeon to the new model where the techs and the nurses have more inputs. Now let's move on to the second telltale sign that a clinic has become a little bit dodgy, a little bit risky. Let's have a look. Another way a clinic can really go downhill is when there's a high surgeon churn rate. So by this I mean basically the surgeons are changing all the time. There's very few or no regular surgeons. And sometimes when they even booking clients, they're not really sure who's going to be the surgeon on the day. They're just gonna, they just call them, a week before or something, and they book them in. I have no idea. And when the lead surgeon is inactive as well. So some clinics, you have the lead surgeon who's doing all the work. The clinic really became famous for their quality, but then the lead surgeon kind of semi-retires and does very, very few procedures himself or herself, and they just hire junior surgeons that they've trained up, or they bring in other surgeons to do the work. And in some cases, some clinics, there's one clinic that I've reviewed on my channel that actually got shut down because what they were doing was they were just importing surgeons literally on the day or the day before the procedure, and the surgeon didn't speak the language of the country. Sometimes they weren't even registered on the medical board of that country. And you can avoid all this by being very, very clear about who the surgeon on the day of your procedure, who's going to be your surgeon. And if they seem a bit vague and they say that, we've got lots of surgeons, don't worry, they're absolute rubbish. If you don't know the surgeon, you shouldn't go ahead with the procedure. Simple as that. And with this particular point, I have to say, the clinics in Turkey, some of them, you have no idea who the surgeon is. When you go on their website, it's very, very unclear who the main surgeon is. They just have either loads of surgeons listed, and you're thinking, my God, how big is this clinic when they have these many surgeons? And some of them have nothing. They have no mention of who the surgeon is. Now let's move on to the third area in our discussion. Let's have a look. This one is one I've seen a few times, is when a really good clinic that is famous and known for their quality open a new branch. Often they do this abroad. So the clinic might be in a country, say Belgium or the UK, and they open a new branch, say typically in a cheaper country in terms of the cost. For example, might be in Turkey or Cyprus or Greece, and obviously they do this to attract people who can't really afford the prices at the head or original clinic, which makes sense. That's fair enough, but you need to be 100% clear about the consistency. Is the new branch as good in terms of the results they churn out as the original branch? If the answer is no, or if you're not sure, you shouldn't really go ahead with any procedures. And of course, who the staff are. So if the staff are the same as the original branch, that's completely fine. But if it's brand new staff, then you should be asking, are they as good as the staff in the original branch, or maybe no? One thing that might help you is the length of time the new branch has been open. So if the new branch has been open for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and they've not had any bad reviews, everything seems to be working really well, then you can be reassured that this new branch is just as good as the one in the headquarters or the original country. You can go ahead with your procedure with confidence. But if it's been open for a month and you're not really sure and they're still kind of painting the place, then it's a little bit dodgy, and I would do more work and preferably actually go somewhere else because it's just far too new. Let's move on and have a look at our next point of discussion. This one is a sneaky one that only people who are really deeply embedded in the hair transplant industry would know about, and it's the tools. So when a clinic changes their main tools, all of a sudden they get new tools in. That's a really risky time for somebody to have a hair transplant, in my opinion, because tools are a huge part of hair transplants. You've got tools like the punches, like these things here. They're used to extract the donor hair, and they are very precise tools. They require skill in terms of using them and kind of manual dexterity. And you've also got the blades. So this is the sapphire blade. Sapphires, really expensive stuff that is hundreds of times stronger than steel, and that stays sharp for a very long time. And this is used to open the channels when you are implanting the donor hair. So there are some robotic machines that actually help with the hair transplantation procedure itself. And all these tools require a skill, and more importantly, they require time to familiarize yourself with the machine. It's a little bit like a painter who is used to certain brushes, and then suddenly you give him loads of new brushes that he's never used before. Of course, it's going to take him some time to become familiar with the brushes and perfect their use. Exactly the same with hair transplants. Some clinics also have their own brand tools, so they actually develop their own tools. And this is my kind of clinic, my kind of favorite clinic, because they are the experts in this particular tool. They don't go to buy tools from anywhere else. They have their own tools, and they likely are some of the best clinics I've come across have their own branded tools that they developed. So in your consultations with any clinic, when you ask about the tools they use, they're gonna be taken aback. They're gonna be like, this dude or this girl knows what they're talking about, and hopefully they'll take you more seriously. I hope you can see now that once you find a good clinic, your work is not done. You need to go and check if the clinic is still good. And I don't care if you saw loads of good reviews for this clinic 6 months ago. Clinics can change their working model and go from good to bad in the space of a month or two. But now what can you do to protect yourself? So the obvious thing is to ask these questions that I've raised in the video directly when you speak to the clinic and see what sort of answers you get. The second thing you can do is you can hire a hair transplant consultant. There's not many of them. It's a service I provide, but to be honest, my service is very, very expensive. Alternatively, you can get my brand new amazing manual, hair transplant manual, that contains pretty much everything you need to know before you have your hair transplant. By the way, I am looking for people to review this. So basically, I give you the manual for free and you do a video review. It has to be a video review, otherwise it's not going to happen. So if you are keen to get this manual for free and do a video review, then comment below with the word manual. I really hope you found this video useful. Take care and see you soon.